Hi there, let's look at the first questions in the National 5 Expressions and Formula Unit Assessment Specimen 1. We're going to look at the surds, indices and scientific notation questions to start. So simplify, given your answer in surd form, the square root of 98. Make sure you know your square numbers. You can write them down in the test if you want to, but you need to know these. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, and so on. You're looking for the biggest one that divides into 98, and you write that first. In this case, it's 49. And 49 times what makes 98? Well, 49 times 2. So you must write it as root 49 times root 2. Now, I've not put the times sign in here, but just like algebra, AB is equal to A times B. You can write it with the times sign or without it. Just make sure you write down the one that actually square roots at the front. Okay, so square root of 49 is just 7. So the answer is 7 root 2 and you're done. Okay, let's move on to the indices questions. So in this case, what I would do is I would sort this top line out first. Now, when you multiply indices, you add the powers. Okay, so that's 4 add 7, it makes 11, so x to the power of 11, and just rewrite the x to the power 8 underneath. Now, when you divide indices, you do the opposite of add, which is take away. So you want to take these two away. 11 take away 8 is 3, so we've got x cubed. That's the technique there. On this one, what we're looking to do first is do the 7 times 3, just as normal. 7 3s are 21. And then you move on to this idea at the top here. But it's slightly more tricky because you've got fractions. So that's a negative a half. So we've got 3, you add them, don't you? You add 3, add negative a half. Now if you think of 3 add negative 1, that gets down to 2, doesn't it? So it's really 3 take away a half when you add a negative. Now 3 take away a half is 2.5. But it's a wee bit clumsy. We tend to write indices as top-heavy fractions. Now you can put that line in if you want, but really what I want you to do is turn it into a top-heavy fraction. 2 times 2 is 4, add 1, you've got 5 halves there. And that's your final answer for that. Okay, right, the last question here. So this is a scientific notation question. At the start of an experiment, there was 4.8 times 10 to the 8 bacteria. After 1 hour, the number of bacteria was 23 times greater than at the start. Calculate the number of bacteria after an hour. So basically what you're going to do is multiply these two. Now, it says here also give your answer in scientific notation. So we're going to multiply, and the way to do that is just write that down. So 4.8 times 10 to the 8 times 23. Now, if you're typing it into your calculator, what I tend to do, and your answer will pop out, is I use this button here. Now you find that at the bottom middle. Some calculators don't have that button. In that case, use EXP. But what you'll notice is when you hit that button, you just need to hit 8. I've seen people hit that button, then type times 10. You don't need to do that. Just hit that button or this one, 8 times 23. Test it out. If you get this as your answer, you've done it right. Now, sometimes this question here, it will pop out scientific notation answer, but sometimes it might not. And if you don't turn it into scientific notation, you'll lose a mark. So this is what would happen if it didn't pop out as scientific notation. It would give you this big long number. Now, to turn it into this number, the first part, this part here, I'll highlight it for you, has to be between 1 and 10. Okay, so in this case, you're going to have to put the decimal point here, 1.104. It can't be 11 because that's higher than 10. So you write 1.104 times 10 to the power of, and how do you get the 10 up here? Well, what you have to think about is how many jumps does it take to get to the end? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So from where you've put the decimal point in to get to the end of the number is what this bit is here. Because every time you multiply by 10, you make the number bigger, don't you? And the decimal point shifts one place along, or you add zeros. Okay, and that's how to change it if it doesn't pop out as scientific notation.